back to the mini weekend. I'm your host, Jack. Let's get into a mini. So I know I probably looked weird doing that, but it occurred to me. I didn't want to open it right on top of my laptop, obviously, but it's been a while since we did one of our healthier sodas. We went with Poppi and we went with their Alpine Blast. It's weird. I got this one month and a half ago. I got this one before we got that big 24 pack from Northern Soda Company. So kind of forgot about some of the other ones. So at the time, not much before I got this one was the Alpine Blast considered new. But yeah, that's what we're going with tonight. Let's see, can you actually see it from down there? No, maybe we'll put it back here so you can see it. Maybe. Boom. There we go. Poppi. Alpine Blast. Anyways, yeah, it's been a while. So for some of the newer listeners, I know we've been getting a lot more subscribers, followers on Instagram, followers on TikTok. So I appreciate all of the love and support. So for anybody that maybe knew that maybe hasn't heard of Poppi, what is Poppi? Poppi is a healthier option for you soda drinkers out there. A lot of people have asked me in the past, Jack, is it healthy, Pop? And it's after I read into it myself. Is it healthy per se? No, it's not like you're drinking water or something that's like is good for you, but it is healthier than grabbing like for a Pepsi or a Cherry Coke or a Sprite or something like that. Poppi is something that still has some of that sweetness, but Poppi every single one is made with prebiotics, apple cider vinegar, 5 grams of sugar or less, and 35 calories or less. So it's not like you're drinking something that has 0 calories or 0 sugar. There is still a minimal amount in it. But again, if you haven't been here for a while, I do not recommend drinking more than one Poppi in a day. Or there's another brand out there similar to Poppi, Olipop. I do not suggest drinking more than one of them, or one of more than between the two or of themselves. One in a day. They have prebiotics that work with your gut health, and too much of that, no bueno for you. But yeah, so Alpine Blast, they say lightning doesn't strike twice, but maybe that's just because they haven't tasted this energizing burst of citrus flavor yet. And I have to say, I'm not crazy about it. It tastes good. It's been in the refrigerator for a while now. It kind of tastes flat. I'm interested to try another one soon, buy it and have it like right after I buy it. But usually the Poppies and everything like that are typically a little bit more carbonated than this. But I like it. It's smooth. It does kind of have that citrusy kind of similar to a Sprite or 7-Up, if you will. It's just not. It's kind of meh. It's not anything crazy. It's not anything crazy. I do like them. I would probably get it again. I would probably get this one again. Truthfully, I would probably get, if you go onto their website, drinkpoppy.com, you can look at all their different flavors. And I mean, just looking at some of these flavors, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I mean, there's a bunch of flavors that I've already tried that I would get before this one. Doesn't mean it's a terrible flavor. It's just not my favorite. But yeah, like I said, go check them out, drinkpoppy.com. They have a lot of really cool stuff here. Like I said, you can shop all their different flavors. They have like different bundles of them. They have a little section that you can read up on them, their story. They're kind of branding themselves as like the future of soda is now. Drink Poppi. You can find if you don't already know and haven't seen them in Targets, Walmarts, Kroger's, Costco's, all that kind of stuff. You can find out where specifically you can buy them or specific flavors if that's what you want. And then, yeah, you can find them all over social media too. TikTok, Instagram, Threads, I think they're on Facebook and X as well. I would take this over a 7-Up or a Sprite from the fact that it is healthier. But taste-wise, I would much rather have a Sprite, Sierra Mist, or Starry, or 7-Up over than this. I'll go 6.3. I've had other flavors that have wowed me. This isn't really wowing me. So I think 6.3 is appropriate. It's not a bad flavor. It's just, like I said, not for me. It didn't wow me. 6.3, Alpine Blast, Poppi. Go check them out. Excuse me. And we'll go from there. Tommie Town, just like the last couple of weeks, now that we're kind of getting into the thick of fall here with some of the winter sports coming alive here, we do have one quick thing to talk about before we get into the football team. But just earlier this week on Monday, the men's basketball team released 2 6-game mini plans for the 25 season, similar to like the Minnesota Timberwolves like flex packs. So not only can you lock in seats for season ticket holders for this thing, but you can also get some of the biggest matchups with the mini plans that feature 2 unique options. There's the purple plan and the gray plan. Fans can secure reserve seating for 6 marquee home games inside of the new Leon Penny Anderson Arena. Mini plans are available in 2 seating locations, the Capitol Club and Main Bowl. Reserve seating in the Main Bowl is priced at $210 per seat, $35 per game, including fees. Reserve seating in the Capitol Club is priced at $420 per seat or $70 per game. Purple plan consists of the Leon Penny Anderson Arena opener on November 8th, November 29th against Lawrence, December 20th against UC Riverside, January 22nd, South Dakota State, February 7th, Oral Roberts, and February 28th, Omaha. But the gray plan, there's one really amazing game that has people's eyes in both of these. Obviously, the Leon Penny Anderson and the purple one opener, and then the gray plan, you get Green Bay on November 13th, Weber State December 6th, December 11th, the St. John's game, and then South Dakota January 7th, North Dakota January 28th, and then February 26th, North Dakota State. Mini plans can be purchased on TommieSports.com. Go to the basketball team and click here. And as of right now, for both the men's and women's teams, you can only purchase season tickets. You cannot purchase individual game tickets yet. For the men, go ahead and check out these plans if you're interested as well. And then this last weekend, the Tommie football team got back into the win column, eking out a 20-7 win over Northern Michigan, which was just amazing. I unfortunately did not get to watch this one. It was unfortunately not televised on ESPN Plus. I'm hoping most of the games going forward I will be able to. Andy Peters, the Boise, Idaho native, led St. Thomas with 221 passing yards on Saturday with his second consecutive game of over 200 yards. He completed 13 of 19 passes with 3 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. Through 3 games, the graduate senior has connected with 7 different receivers for 8 total passing touchdowns, including 3 to Eli Paulson from Ramsey, Minnesota, Joseph Cook from Menominee Falls, Wisconsin, and Patrick Wagner from Crofton, Maryland. And defensively in this game, St. Thomas was led by Caden Nelson, Wakani, Wisconsin, with 9 tackles, and Nash Tishy from Oro, Minnesota, was credited with 1.5 sacks, which was amazing. It looks like I said, I'm, kind of looking through this stuff as I'm talking with you guys. The Tommies were able to get off to a quick 6-0 start just over 6 minutes into the game, unfortunately missing the extra point. But then after that, there wasn't a single point scored until just under 5 minutes into the third quarter, when the Wildcats actually took the lead 7-0. St. Thomas scored 14 points to secure the win. The opening touchdown was a pass from Andy Peters to Eli Paulson, 13 yards out, to retake the lead 14-7. A 24-yard pass from Andy Peters to Joseph Cook, and then a 7-yard pass from Andy Peters to Patrick Wagner with 3 minutes left to make it the 20-7 game. So a big win for the Tommies, getting back in that win column after losing that close one to number 10 in FCS Idaho, which should build some confidence and should kind of get them going, moving in the right direction, heading into Pioneer football play. And they will, just like the Gophers, they actually have their bye week this upcoming week, so they will be off. This is actually an upcoming week for myself. That would be a good week to do yard work stuff, because they're both on byes. Like I said, they will be kicking off Pioneer Football League play on Saturday, September 27th, taking on the University of San Diego at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. So yeah, still got a ways to go until that, but try to, get some stuff heading in the right direction and get some confidence going into Pioneer Football League play, which will be pretty cool. And they're not looking great. They are 1-2 on the year. They just lost this last weekend to Montana State 7-41. They are in action this upcoming weekend, taking on Princeton in Princeton, New Jersey, for a game. So it'll be interesting to see how they roll into next week's game, not having a week off like the Tommies do, and hopefully the Tommies can capitalize on that. And right now, looking at Pioneer Football League play, nobody has started Pioneer League play right now, but only Presbyterian is 3-0, and only Davidson is 0-3. The Tommies are one of three teams: St. Thomas, Morris, and Butler, that are currently 1-2. Everybody else is 1-1 or 1-2, obviously. So lots of football to be played. That game against Presbyterian later in the year, on November 15th, the second to the last game for the Tommies, will potentially be for the Pioneer League Football League championship and to go to the postseason, which would be huge for this team. But obviously don't want to get ahead of ourselves. Unfortunately, the Gophers were not as lucky as the Tommies were this last weekend, as they lost their final non-conference game to the California Golden Bears 27-14. And the unfortunate part of this game, I remember staying up late to watch this one, is that they didn't look all that great. Drake Lindsay looked okay. The Gophers did a pretty good job of keeping this Cal rushing game in check, as their leading rusher, Raphael, was held to just 42 total yards, and Cal in general was only held to 61 rushing yards. But their quarterback, I cannot remember how you pronounce his last name, I'm going to butcher it, just had a day. He threw for 279 yards and 3 touchdowns against us. And quite frankly, I don't want to say he's going to be the next big thing, but he almost looked like a NFL quarterback out there, where he knew where to throw. Most of his throws, he was 24 of 38. Most of his throws were kind of improvising, he's buying himself more time, and his guys are just able to get open. But yeah, like I said, like I mentioned, I didn't think this was a great game played by the Golden Gophers. Drake Lindsay threw a pick. They lost a fumble, and we can take a look at it. Yeah, so this was essentially what lost the game for the Gophers. So the Gophers were driving in the fourth quarter, down 14-7, missed a field goal, and then in 6 plays they went 14 yards and had to kick to us. So they kicked to us, and Coy Parrish at the 8-yard line just muffs the punt. He originally kind of lets it go, settles it, waves the guys off, and then looks like he's about to touch it. Doesn't, he's a young guy, so you kind of thought maybe he's screwing with the defense. Touches it and tries to make a move with it, but the ball just stayed there. So they had the ball on the 8-yard line. 3 plays, they score a touchdown, and then all of a sudden it's 24-14. 5 plays later, a turnover on downs. They kick a field goal, and they just couldn't get anything going too. So for the most part of the game was pretty close score-wise, but the Gophers just really couldn't get much going. They would start off drives pretty well, and then once they got onto like the border of field goal range, they just couldn't move the ball any farther. Probably for the better that they have a week off to kind of get things right. Rutgers, I don't think, is a great team this year, but they are hosting them on the 27th at 11 a.m. for the opener of Big Ten play for them. And hopefully PJ Fleck can get these guys moving in the right direction to get going and be ready for Big Ten play, because, they got Rutgers, and then they have to go to Ohio State, and then they go to and then they host Purdue, who's 2-1 right now. Then they host Nebraska, who is 3-0. And then they got Iowa, who's 2-1. I mean, so again, a lot of these games are winnable. You want to start off Big Ten play hot. And if the Gophers can open up, beat a Rutgers team that they should win, and then play Ohio State close, lose by no more than like 10 points, I'd say you're sitting pretty good 2 games into the Big Ten play. But obviously don't want to get too ahead of ourselves here. But yeah, like I said, the Tommies and the Gophers will both be off this upcoming weekend. So next podcast, we will look more into previewing both the Rutgers and the San Diego games for you guys, which then brings us into our college football picks for week 4 for you guys. So obviously we didn't make picks for week 1 of college football. But right now, 2 weeks into it, week 2 and week 3, we are 3-3 on the year for you guys in the college football bets under the mini weekend bets realm. And this last week was the worst of the 2 weeks. Notre Dame did not beat Mississippi State at all. The -6.5 didn't hit. Oregon State, Texas Tech over 61.5 points did not hit, but I'm not kidding you. There must have been a shit ton of money put on that in Vegas because they collectively got 59 total points, which pissed me off. Because if that hits, then at least we're 4-2 and we can say we're above 500, but we can't. Fortunately, the one that did hit, Georgia Tech +4 over Miami. So could not be more happy for that one. Excuse me, but needless to say, getting into our picks this week for you guys. So the first one I have for you guys is Iowa Rutgers over 45.5 points. This line really didn't make too much sense to me at first. However, Iowa's offense and I can never pronounce his name right, and I know we've done this team a couple other times. They're not very good. And this is a game that originally spoke to me and was leading me towards the under. But then I remember 2 things. 1, life is way too short to bet the under. And 2, Iowa and Rutgers don't have like amazing defenses. Thus far into this season, even if I wanted to bet the under and feel confident about that, for Rutgers, Ethan Kaliak-Mannix, the ex-Gopher, has been playing really well so far for Rutgers, and I think he'll be able to put up points on this Hawkeyes defense. So give me Iowa Rutgers over 45.5 points. Secondly, I got UNLV -2.5 points at Miami of Ohio. This line as well, which was really odd to me as well. Miami of Ohio is just not a good team this year. In fact, they're returning no starters on the offensive side and only have managed 17 points in their 0-2 start. Daquan Finn is not the guy for them, and the O-line has just been getting pummeled so far this season. UNLV is clearly the more talented team in this one, and quite frankly, I'm surprised that this line isn't higher. So take those 2.5 points. It's hard to question this line, like I said, no doubt. But this is one, don't overthink it. Just take the points and take the money, as far as I'm concerned. Then the last one I like for you guys, Nebraska +2.5 over Michigan. Yes, you heard that right. This one is going to be a great game as Dylan Raiola has straight up just been slinging it and balling so far. First 3 games in the season, and Dana Holgorsen has this offense rolling on all cylinders right now. I anticipate Memorial Stadium being rowdy as ever for the Cornhuskers to open a Big Ten play big and make a statement win. And I think with all that set aside, a true freshman quarterback in Bryce Underwood, he's going to struggle in an environment like that to hear play calls, make audibles in that environment. So I like Nebraska +2.5 in this one. And that's what we got for week 4 of college football. I'm feeling great about these picks, and I'm feeling very confident that next week we can be standing here to you guys saying we are 6-3. So that is what I got for my college football picks for you guys. Just like every other podcast, showed it to our good friends UNRL. The one what I got on tonight was the second drop from last year's volume 4, and it's straight up just fire. I have it's the Elevation hoodie, the Vikings version, purple drawstrings. I can't remember if there's anything on the hood. Nope. But again, pretty simple. Again, that's kind of what I like about it. It's simple, and I love the Elevation hoodie. It's thin, but it's thick at the same time. It's warm. It's I love it. I love the drawstrings. I love everything about it. I love the cool little UNRL Unreal thing up here. It's perfect. And if that wasn't enough, this last week it sold out, but the first UNRL, the first Unreal Vikings exclusive dropped. It was their Dublin edition. It's sold out now. So if you got it, awesome. That's amazing. If not, do not worry. On September 23rd, here in 5 days and 11 hours, the London edition will be dropping, and that'll be the second of 4 Viking exclusive drops. The next one won't be until it's their Whiteout edition on December 9th, and then their Legacy edition on December 30th. But do not worry for you Vikings fans. Those are 4 of 9 total drops. Jack, what the heck does that mean? If you go onto their website, UNRL.com, you can see everything about this. So there's 4 limited edition releases that are Viking exclusives, and then they're doing 5 NFL Volume 5 volume drops. And those 5, they're going to be dropping Viking stuff as well as Pittsburgh Steelers stuff, Jets stuff, Lions, Bears, everybody. And those start October 14th, and then we'll go 3 weeks in November, the 11th, the 4th, the 11th, the 18th, then the last one on the 16th. So there are plenty of opportunities if you didn't get this one. I know a lot of people, it kind of seemed like the Dublin edition was you either loved it and you really wanted it, or you didn't particularly care for it and wanted to kind of wait to see what else they were going to come out with. I thought it was sweet. But yeah, that's what we got. Like I said, all of this information can be found on their website, UNRL. I don't know a lot, but what I do know is there are big things coming. So this stuff is super fire and super awesome. But if I were you guys, I would be going on UNRL Unreal's website almost on a daily basis and checking out their socials, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. I don't know specifics, but I do know big things are coming. And that's all I can say, and that's all I will say. So stick with it. I'll give you guys my quick spiel. Go check them out if you haven't already checked them out. If you are into athleisure but not particularly into sports apparel like Viking stuff, there's plenty of other stuff like this. You can get a hoodie exactly like this, just with a straight color, eucalyptus. I have it. It has no embroidery on it. They have everything from gym shorts, joggers, sweatpants, women's box tees, stuff for kids. Go check them out. You will not be disappointed. They're a Minnesota-based company, and quite frankly, with Lulu and all these other companies, they're atop of the athleisure world, if you ask me, and you guys will not be disappointed. So Unreal, UNRL.com, and then you can check them out on TikTok, Facebook, X, Instagram, and LinkedIn. So go check them out. You will not be disappointed. And then one other shout out. No, this hat is not Unreal. It's actually my St. Thomas hat that my sister, who went to St. Ben's, by the way. I thought I'd shout that out because this is a St. Thomas hat. And she went to St. Ben's. And she got this for me. But yeah, this is Minnesotan. I love this feel. I love this hat, not only because obviously I went to St. Thomas, but I love the feel of it. I love the purple. And again, the Minnesotan, another staple, big Minnesota company. They're actually based out of, White Bear Lake, and they have just about everything. Oh, well, there apparel. They have men and women stuff, hats, long sleeve sweatshirts, t-shirts, polos, swim trunks, shorts, all this kind of stuff. They actually have a really, really cool store. I personally have not been there, but they have like a little cool bar area that you can actually go and get a drink, and you can actually go there, and they have like watch parties for, like, last year they had watch parties for like the Wolves and the Wild in the playoffs, Vikings, all that kind of stuff. So if you're in that area, go check them out. Like I said, this is a Minnesotan hat. I think I have one, maybe 2 other Minnesotan hats, but every single time I think about them, I go on their website and I look around all their stuff, and I'm just reminded how much sweet stuff they have. So go check them out. They're the Minnesotan. You can find them on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. So that is what I got for you guys. And they're located at 2186 4th Street in White Bear Lake, like I said. So go check out those guys. All right, and then, gosh, we are at a really, really, really fun time of the year. Not only are we already a couple weeks into the NFL season, But I just got a notification earlier today that teams around the NHL are opening up their training camps, which is just unbelievable to think about. It's crazy to think that within the next 6 weeks, we're going to be more than halfway through the NFL season. We're going to have we're going to have NFL hockey on, NBA basketball on, and life's only going to continue to get better. Again, I understand not everything revolves around sports, but this is a sports-based podcast, so we're going to continue talking about them. But yeah, no real new news as far as the Wild are concerned. Like I said, I saw that the Minnesota Wild, among a couple other teams, are opening up their training camp this week, specifically today for the Wild, which is pretty cool. So yeah, one other thing I thought I would talk about actually before we moved on here is Kirill's contract. And it seems to me nobody really asked this question, but I want to address it because I get the sense a lot of people are freaking out, and I don't think we should be. So I'm going to give you guys a couple reasons why we shouldn't be freaking out that Kirill. I don't think he so much rejected the contract. I think it was more or less they said, no, like, let's just keep talking. But one of them, May of 2025, like with a huge smile on his face and like could not stop beaming and talking about how much he loved Minnesota. He loved the organization. He loved the players and all that kind of stuff. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, Jack. Of course, he's going to fucking say that. Like, why would he ruffle the feathers of the team that he's playing for? And I get that. But I think in today's day and age of social media and everything like that, it's not always what you say, but it's also how you say it. And there's a way some of these players can say this kind of stuff and they still have body language that makes you think, okay, they don't 100% mean that. Kirill, it seemed like he was genuinely happy and genuinely cared for us when asked this question and voiced his pleasure of the city, the state, the organization, all that other kind of stuff. Another thing to think about too is I think Kirill and his agent and it's smart. It's smart, but they're wanting to maximize his long-term earning potential. Jack, what does that mean? So we offered him an 8-year contract, and as much as some stars enjoy having that peace of mind of, hey, I'm locked in for a while, don't have to worry about contract extensions, all that kind of cool stuff. We're already seeing the CBA for the NHL and salary cap going up this year, and if things continue to trend that way within the next 4 or 5 years, when the next one comes up, guys could be making more money. So again, it seems selfish, but some of these players like Kirill that are cream of the crop, like, you want to maximize your potential. So that, and sprinkled in with, you look at his last contract extension and it was less about he didn't want to be here and more about, I want the flexibility of being able to see what the market's going to do in 4 to 5 years and then re-sign something instead of being locked down for a decade, which is another thing. But the main big reason that I am not that freaked out and that I think something is actually going to come together before the season starts is what Kirill, and I think we briefly talked about it last week too, is the thing Kirill and his agent don't want to happen is for these talks to go into the regular season and for Kirill to get injured again. Because do not get me wrong, this man is worth every penny we're going to give him. I'll say it, he's Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, Kucherov status money. Like, he really is. Do not get me wrong. I believe that, and he is. But if contract extensions go into the season and Kirill gets hurt even for a little bit, they lose a little bit of their leverage, and and something as little as a couple games is something that the Wild can say, look, we want to give you this money, but again, he's missed a couple games, he's missed it, like, he's injury prone. We want to give it to you, and then their negotiation power goes down, and then you're stuck between a rock and a hard place of, do we stay here and try to get and take the money that they're willing to give us? Or do we run the risk of maybe going somewhere else and not getting the money that they're going to give us? And so that is the big one. So yeah, I'm not that worried. I don't think everybody else should be stressing out. Yeah, that's what I got for you guys. And then no new news on the Timberwolves, but I completely forgot our Minnesota Lynx are in the WNBA playoffs right now, and they secured the number 1 spot and have the best chance, obviously, with the number 1 spot to win the entire thing. They won a couple days ago, game 101-72, and just a little bit ago they beat the Valkyrie in Golden State to win the first round best of 3 series 2-0. I gotta know how it happened. So let's see here. The crazy thing is Minnesota was losing most of this game. They were down 19-27 after the first and went into halftime down, 28-41. So they were down for most of this game. So let's see here. So the fourth, So it was tied. We were up. Nafisa Collier made a shot to go up 73-72 with a minute and 24 seconds to go. With 30 seconds to go, Courtney Williams made a shot to put us up 75-72, and then Valkyrie came down, made a basket to make it a 1-point game, and then the Valkyrie just couldn't make the game-winning shot. So a huge congratulations to the Lynx to win their first round series and to get one step closer to the ultimate goal. And now they will await the winner of the 4 and 5 matchup, which is the Phoenix Mercury and the New York Liberty. The Phoenix Mercury actually, in fact, won tonight 86-60 to tie the series 1 game apiece. Every other series was also tied 1-1. The Aces and Storm are tied 1-1. That's 2v7. Atlanta Dream number 3, Indiana Fever 6 are tied game apiece. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Like I said, the Wolves, the Lynx are awaiting. They will play their first game either at 3 or 5 p.m. on Saturday, the 21st, against either the number 4 seeded Phoenix Mercury or number 5 New York Liberty, which is crazy if it is the Liberty because that was the matchup last year in the WNBA Finals. So once again, with their huge win tonight, congratulations to them. Can't wait to see them continue to ball and hopefully see them raising another banner. So huge congrats to them. Now into our football. Obviously, you guys saw me talk a little bit of football last night on the mini pick'ems and in some of the content since the Atlanta Falcons game. But before we get into a lot of that, I figured we just continue on the trend of giving you guys at the front of it our week 3 NFL picks. So, let's just start. For week 3, the lock, I like the Kansas City Chiefs at -6 over the New York Giants. The Kansas City Chiefs, I don't believe, can start the season 0-3 before playing the Ravens in week 4. Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes ran into a couple of buzzsaws in the Chargers and the Eagles, but now they get the ultimate get-well game against Russell Wilson running the offense, a former Chiefs assistant, Mike Kafka. I think Mahomes will put it even more on himself to come through to end the streak, and desperation will kick in big time for the reigning AFC runners up. But they're just not a fun team to watch right now, and I don't anticipate this being like a really high-flying game. I think they'll win by 7 or 8 points. It'll probably be like a 27-20 nothing game or 28-20 game, something like that. But they should be able to. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a blowout, because they do need to get right before they play the Ravens, because I don't see them beating the Ravens at this point or even coming close. But a good win here would help them get right. And then the upset I actually like this week are the LA Rams +3.5. Hear me out. I know in the pick'ems I said I had the Philadelphia Eagles, but Matthew Stafford is quietly leading one of the league's steadiest and most dangerous offenses, as much as I hate to admit it, with Puka Nacua, Devonta Adams, and Kyron Williams. They are similar to the Eagles with their big 3 of A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, and Saquon Barkley helping out Jalen Hurts. And this should be a thriller with Hurts' legs in Barkley's fourth quarter making a slight difference. It'll probably come out to be some kind of like a 26-23 game, something like that. So yeah, that's what I have in the lock and upset of the week. And then for the Vikings game, the Vikings are currently -2.5 on the week, and I'm just gonna be honest. I like just taking the points at -2.5. Also, strangely enough, actually like taking the over 41.5 points this game too. Strangely enough, that's not a ton of points. That means like if with like a 23-20 game, that would hit. Like, it doesn't need to be a high-flying game for that to hit. Unfortunately, it's going to be a battle of the backup cornerbacks. And I'm sure at this point you guys are thinking, geez, is Jack ever going to pick against the Vikings? I was very close to picking the Vikings because at first JJ went down and I thought to myself, shit, if it's Carson Wentz versus Joe Burrow, of course Joe Burrow is going to win. But then it was announced that not only was he hurt and he was going to be out, he needs surgery. Now it's him against Jake Browning. I'm not saying Browning is a terrible quarterback. I'm just saying Wentz is a little bit more of the veteran type and more comfortable in these situations. And with this being a home game for us, I think, the last time we played them and Browning beat us was in Cincinnati. He doesn't have the luxury of playing at home this time around. He's got to come to US Bank Stadium, which, the Atlanta Falcons just showed that it can happen, but it's still a hard place to win in the NFL. Yeah, should be a fun game, should be a relatively close game. So yeah, I like Vikings minus 2.5 in this game. I like the over 41.5 points, and I'm just gonna come out and I say we'll win this game 28-23. It'll be a relatively close game. It's not going to be a blowout, but I think Carson Wentz. The more I think about Kevin O'Connell, and after we do all this stuff, we'll get into dissecting the Falcons game just a little bit too. But I think Kevin O'Connell's offense thrives more under a well-established veteran quarterbacks, because if you look at how long JJ was holding the ball, like there are plays that these routes need to develop and the guys need time to, fake and, get out of their breaks and get open and stuff like that. And JJ just isn't used to doing that and isn't used to the internal clock of 1,000, 2,000, 1,000. And even if the pocket's not completely closed, okay, I got to get myself another second. I got to, move up in the pocket, move back in the pocket, side to side. And that just comes with time. And Carson Wentz knows that. He's been there, done that. A lot of people forget, as much as I fucking hate to bring it up because I can't stand the Eagles, but Carson Wentz led the Eagles as a starter to an 11-2 record before tearing his ACL, and that team ended up going on to win the Super Bowl. So I think the Vikings in the meantime will be just fine. And just like last year too, this is a good position to be in, because if Carson Wentz does not even light it up, but if he does well and he can beat the Bengals, if he can beat the Steelers and then beat the Browns, and he looks pretty good doing it, you go into that Eagles game where you're like, all right, now our quarterback's back because he's supposed to be out for 2 to 4 weeks. Okay, our quarterback's back. Now we have, a battle, of who's going to be our quarterback. And again, that's a good problem to have, because there are some teams in the league that don't even have one good quality, starter. Good problem to have there. And then for offensive and defensive predictions, on the offensive side of the ball, I got Justin Jefferson finally breaking the seal with a 100-plus yard receiving yard game to go with a touchdown. And then on the defensive side of things, I like the Vikings to have 3 interceptions. Jack, what the hell? That seems like a lot. Yeah, but let's think about this for a second. Takeaways haven't been easy to come by for us so far in 2025. Browning led the Bengals to a game-winning drive last week against the Jaguars, but he made plenty of mistakes throughout that game, throwing 3 interceptions on 32 attempts. While the two teams played in 2023, the Vikings only intercepted Browning once in an overtime loss. I think our defense is going to do better this time around. And I think we have a couple guys that I think will be coming back. Christian Darrisaw should be coming back this week or next week. The reason I say that is because if they really felt like he was going to be out for at least 4 games, they would have put him at the very least on the short-term IR. They chose not to. I think without Aaron Jones, we should be just fine. It's sounding like we could have, coming up in this next game, we could have Ryan Kelly, Andrew Van Ginkel, and Jeff Adoku coming back as in concussion protocol. And on top of that, Harrison Smith, they're saying, could be coming back from whatever he's been dealing with, either this week or first week overseas. So to have some of these guys back will do wonders. But then I think people forget, like, Thielen hasn't looked like himself. I will give you guys that. He didn't look great in these first 2 games, but not this week, but next week, Jordan Addison's coming back. And Jordan Addison is a very good wide receiver too. So good that if you put him on 15 other teams in this league, he could probably be their wide receiver 1. And I think that's going to open up more opportunities for guys like Thielen, Ty Felton, if get thrown out there. But TJ Hawkinson has got to catch more balls. JJ McCarthy in just in the first 2 weeks has thrown. And again, we've talked about this at length on the podcast. In the NFL, you are paid to literally play football. If the ball hits your hands or a hand, you are responsible for bringing that in. Even if you have to reach up and it hits you in your hand up here, you got to come into that. Like, you're getting paid to do that. If it's overthrown, underthrown, that's on the quarterback. That's an incompletion. That's on JJ, and he's the first to admit that. But if it hits your hands in any way, shape, or form, behind you, in front of you, below, like, if you're able to get hands on it, you should be coming in with that. You should be coming in with that. And I didn't fact check myself, but TJ Hawkinson, just in the first 2 games, has had, let's see here, TJ Hawkinson right here receiving. TJ Hawkinson has had 4 receptions on 7 targets. That seems low. I thought it was going to be closer to 10. But every single one has been a drop on his part. But yeah, I'm excited, if nothing else, to see what we have in Carson Wentz. This Atlanta Falcons game sucked. There's no sugarcoating it. And again, the last thing I'll say about that game, you have to look in the mirror, you have to look at it and just be better. Kevin O'Connell did not call a good game. There were things that JJ McCarthy definitely shouldn't have done or should have done differently. But in his defense, once again, Kevin O'Connell didn't call a great game, and our offensive line was just getting shelled all game long. And Kevin O'Connell didn't look like was okay with having 2 tight ends out there and having them both block to help give him some time to throw some passes. And it came around and bit us in the ass. The last thing I will say in this game, though, and I will stand by this through the end of the season, and if this one game ends up coming to bite us in the ass, it's going to come down to this: not going for it on 4th and 1, despite being on our 28-yard line. 4th and 1, down only 9 in the 4th quarter with just under 10 minutes to go, lost us an opportunity to win that game. Again, there's a 50-50 chance we get that first down or we don't. But if we get that first down, if we're able to go down there and at least get a field goal, you're looking at a 9-15 game. Or if you get a touchdown, you're looking at a 13-15 game. So you get any points on that and your offense is rolling. Hopefully your defense can go out after getting some rest on the sidelines, get the ball back into the hands of the offense and going down and trying to get that win at home. But he just didn't go for it. And I'm not going to lie to you guys. I don't know if you saw me on the live stream of this when I was calling the game. That's not a Kevin O'Connell move. Like, usually, like, one of the things that people have thrived and people have liked about him so far in his small tenure here is he's not afraid to be aggressive, because for years we've had Mike Zimmer who just, let's just rely on our defense. It's like, well, great, your defense is amazing, but your defense has been out there for 80% of the games, Zimmer. Like, you can't expect them to just keep getting stops. And I don't think that was indicative of how he felt about how our defense was playing. I think it was more just him. I think some of the times I panned over to him after some of those plays, his body language did not look great, especially as a head coach. So I think he might have been in his head a little bit about it and feeling like, okay, maybe it's not the end of the world. But guess what? They punted it away and they came down and got another field goal, which can be demoralizing that late in the game. So it changed the landscape of the game, and nothing you can do about it now. I got to get better. Got to get better and got to learn from it, and got to look forward to the Bengals game now. So yeah, like I said, it'll be a fun one. It'll be a good one. This was one of the 2 or 3 games that I was like, I need to go to this year at the beginning of the season. JJ McCarthy versus Joe Burrow. Neither of them will be in there. So it'll still be a fun game. It'll still be a good game to go to. I anticipate US Bank being rocking again to see our first home win of the season, and get back over 500 for the second time this year in the short season. And yeah, as usual, thank you everybody for the love and support. The follows, everything. Make sure you go subscribe to the YouTube channel so you get notified of the new episodes when they come out, wherever you listen audio-ly as well. Go check us out on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Facebook, all our social medias. And don't be afraid or don't hesitate to reach out with questions, comments, anything like that, topics you want us to hear us talk about on the podcast. And let us know if you'd like to stay anonymous with questions or topics on the podcast as well. Till next time, Minnie.